ActiveCampaign automation strategy. We're going to go over one of the campaigns or automations I've set up inside ActiveCampaign. I'll tell you why I did what I did. And probably the two biggies I want to point out are less is better and plan for the future. So let's dive right in. So here we are inside my ActiveCampaign account, and I've got some automations. I've labeled them and I've dumped a bunch into this one right here, 16 of them. So if you look at them, here they are. There's this one, it's a course-lesson start, and it's lesson 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then a number of what I call profile automations, and we'll get to those at the end. So if I go back here, so let's start by taking a look at this start automation. So here it is in all its glory. This is all it does. When somebody subscribes to this particular list, we start another automation. So I call this kind of a controller automation, and all it's designed to do is send contact elsewhere and basically control the flow of where they go. I would also do something like remove tags if I wanted to, add tags, put them on a list, then send them off to another automation. So that's what I call a controller. So and when I say less is more, this is what I mean. It doesn't mean I have less automations. It means I have less work done in each automation so that I can have kind of modular setup where I can pick and choose what happens next easily and reuse components. So the very first one, when somebody signs up, all they do is get put into this and shipped off to another one. I could have done a lot of other things like remove, add tags, but that's all I'm doing for this one. Now let's go take a look at all these lesson automations. So you could say, well, and they're going to all look identical. They pretty much all do the same thing, except they're sending a different email. You could tack them all together into one automation. That would be less. And that's good when you have something where you want to have somebody have the capability of leaving an automation but coming back later. So you would use tags combined with goals to achieve that. But let's just review like this first one, this lesson 0. And it's not that, it's, we're doing lesson 1. Okay, actually let's start with lesson 0. Let's take a look at that one. So there's no trigger per se. All we're doing is being added from a previous automation. I always like to put a wait 5 minutes just as a sanity check, and then send them this email. And then wait 23 hours, and at 8 a.m., at the next occurrence of 8 a.m. in their time zone, send a slightly different email. Now, what I'm trying to do here is get them synced up because I want to send at 8 a.m. in general. So going forward, everything's going to be occurring at 8 a.m. in their time zone. And the difference between this and this is ever so slight, because what I'm looking for is for them to actually click a link in any one of those emails. So this is kind of important for this automation. If you look at it, I just called it clicked link, and if they've clicked any link in the lesson 0 or the lesson 0A email, then jump down to here. So I have this right here set up to go if they don't click a link in here. So I'm really trying to get people to engage with the link, click it, do something, and repeat it if they don't. And then to top it off, once they've gone past here, whether they waited a day or not before they met this goal or didn't, they're just going to simply pass through here, and then we're going to do a check. Did they click any of these links? If they did, I'm adding a point to a score. This is my version of lead scoring. I don't have the built-in capability with ActiveCampaign. I've got my own. Basically, it pings a webhook, which then adds a point to a field called score. Now, if they don't, they skip over that, and regardless, they both get brought down to here, and then guess what? We start another automation, the lesson 1 automation, and this one ends. So keep this in mind. This is basically all the lesson automations. They all look the same. Looking at lesson 1, here it is. Now, if they are not already, we're just going to make sure it's 8 a.m. their time. We're going to send off email 1, wait for 23 hours, wait till 8 a.m., send the exact same email again, wait for a day, and then pass through here if they didn't meet this goal, which again is clicked any link in this lesson 1. And guess what? Same thing down here. Did they or did they not click a link in lesson 1? If they did, great. Update their score by 1 point. Finish, send them to the next automation, which is lesson 2, and then end this. Now, I'm going to repeat this one more time just to show you why I'm doing the lead scoring. Again, here it is, 8 a.m., send an email, wait, send the email again if they didn't click on this, and then, again, add a point. Now, let's go take a look at one of these emails. What I'm trying to accomplish is I want to make sure I'm working with people that are engaged, and I'm measuring that simply by a link click. So if you scroll down here, and look at the very bottom, there's this, actually I think it's an image, and it only displays if their score is greater than or equal to 2. So if you go here and manage conditions, I'm going to say when this custom field is greater than or equal to 2, show them this, include this in the email. And if they click here, they get sent to a web page. So I'm building up a score as they interact with my emails by clicking on links. I could get even fancier and make sure they fill the form out. I'm trying to keep it simple here where they just have to show signs of life, more than just opening the email, but actually clicking the link and going to the page. To me, that's a sign that they're interested. And then for every email, I have this capability to show it. So once they've had a score of 2 or greater, guess what? They're going to see this. If they never do, well, they're never going to see that. So that's kind of my logic here, is I want to have all these automations basically to send out an email, send it again, add a point if they click on a link, and then move them to the next automation. And then there's these other automations which are basically this coaching one-to-one, coaching one-to-many, other sell information or sell services. Now, early on when people sign up, they get sent to a form, basically a survey form, where they self-select, what their business model is. And whenever they do that, they add an appropriate tag to their profile. So if somebody says, yeah, I'm coaching one-to-one, they get a tag called business profile business coaching one-to-one. Now, one thing I do is as soon as that tag's added, notice this tag is added, I also come in and remove these other tags. So you think, well, that's a little redundant, overkill, isn't it? Well, this is where I'm kind of trying to plan for the future. What if somebody opens that first email, they get sent to the survey, they say I'm a coaching one-to-one, but for whatever reason they come back later and they change it one-to-many. Now, I don't want them to be tagged with both. I really only want them to be tagged with one of them. So as soon as they click one of these, I think 4 tags or 5 tags, all the others get removed if they're attached to them. Might sound like overkill, but for me it's important because inside some of my emails, I use some content that's custom to the tag that identifies them. So I don't want to look foolish and say, oh, I see that you're coaching one-to-one, and then the next paragraph say, oh, I see that you're coaching one-to-many. No. This is where I want to plan for the future. I know that somebody could come back and change their profile, and I want to make sure they get the appropriate information. So that's kind of the look inside my some of my automations and the strategy I'm using inside ActiveCampaign.